like you said something just a second ago, that I think is very important for aspiring entrepreneurs who may have this, romanticized vision of what it is to own a business and be your own boss. And they think it's going to be yachts and, VIP treatment. It's a grind. It is work.
Yeah.
But like the way you're explaining it is really beautiful because the reward is not always going to be a big bank account. Like you're talking about impact. Like if you impact somebody's life, one person at a time, that is quite a measure of success.
And my wife and I are both very passionate about that inherently in who we are. I've been told my whole life. I grew up in a very, very unencouraging household.
Oh.
Bad. And so there was something in me that learned from that and said, you know what, I'm going to change the direction of my family's history. And so my little brothers and I have a son that I didn't meet till he was 18, Dana Point, so we're very encouraging, right? And I think if you look anybody in life, whether you're an adult or a kid or whatever, a dog, everybody needs encouragement.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of been lost in today's culture and society, with electronics. And so that's just kind of who we are. And I think that it wasn't by design, but I think that has come out of us through Killer Dana.
Yeah.
And Killer Dana has given us a tool to be able to teach and watch people grow and be involved in community events. And, we're on the board with the Doheny State Beach Foundation, which is an incredible association foundation that people aren't real aware of. But so right now it's been that involvement, and those have been our rewards because it has not been, COVID taught everybody to buy online.
Right. Exactly.
COVID trained everybody to buy online.
Yeah.
And retail is a dying breed. It really is.
It is.
And that is not a poor me thing. It's just a fact.
Right.
Retail is a dying breed. And so one of the things that we've morphed into is you have to give people an experience.
I was just going to say that because it's not enough to be a destination to buy a wetsuit. It has to be an experience, right? And after this interview, as I head north to Laguna, I'm going to stop at the shop, right? Because what you're telling me is a story of like a total immersion, right, into a world, right, that is not common in Colorado. There's a gnat.
Yeah.
I'm not having a seizure or anything. But let me just ask you this. We kind of started on this note, and I want to go back to.
And I bounce around a lot. I have ADD, so I'm all over the map.
That's all right. Well, me too. The whole thing about nostalgia, right, and how you stay relevant when your story is so nostalgic, right? And you're competing in a world of online and digital devices and experiences that are, handheld. Like, how do you evolve something as classic and nostalgic as surfing culture, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I've not kind of thought of it that way. My wife and I are both not techie at all.
Yeah.
Like at all. I think it's just being authentic.
Yeah.
And being transparent. We're not trying to be something that we're not. We're being who we are as people.
Yeah.
And right now in this point in time, we are the curators, is that how you say that? Curators of a great brand that represents a great story and history of Dana Point.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's what comes out of us. That's what we care about. We never introduce ourselves. Oh, we're partners or owners, or it's about the brand.
Yeah.
We never make it about us. One, we're not that comfortable with the spotlight on us.
I can tell.
So it just is Killer Dana encompasses a lot. And I got to go back and give Gary Wright credit for having that vision in 1989. It took him a couple years to get it going, and he kicked off a great brand that went through struggles. And so at this point in time, we get to be the ones to, try and keep
carry the mantle.
Yeah, and we got it really from La Jolla Group O'Neill. We got it back to its roots and very non-corporate. we're very transparent, with our staff and with our, and if we have a good month, one of the things that we've done really well, and Steve is a good guide for that, is, we pay our vendors on time. We make payroll. A huge portion of our inventory is paid for. If we have a couple of good months, my wife and I's lifestyle doesn't change. We don't go, oh, let's write ourselves a check. As a matter of fact, we're trying to get her a car. We share a 2008 van,
Right.
Because it's about the brand. It's not about us at all. And that's why I think I kind of get emotional, is because I'm surprised. Like I did some public speaking a couple of weeks ago, and I'm surprised that people want to know my story and how it kind of transferred into getting killer, that's surprising to my wife and I.
Right.
Because we don't see it about us.
Right. But you are a part of that brand, right? It is the essence of what you stand for, right? Like what we're talking about. What makes a great brand, right? It's not a logo. It's not a tagline. It's not a social media. It is the essence of knowing what you stand for, right?
Yeah. And always trying to do what's right.
And always trying to do what is right.
Yeah. We reflect on ourselves in the mirror a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's just a part of it. And so where we've gotten to is, the interactions, we talked about COVID taught people to, so we teach our kids how to make eye contact.
Right.
I grew up being that guy. If I caught eyes with somebody, I looked away, and then in my 20s, I kind of went, wow, I had some girls that were kind of popular in school that liked me in high school, but I didn't know it because I had social anxiety and was shy. So we teach the kids, hey, when you catch eyes with somebody, if you look away, you don't know what they have going on in life.
Right.
So if you're having some insecurities, they could be too.
Exactly.
And it's also very intimidating if you're from Pennsylvania or wherever, and you don't know the surf culture, to walk into a surf shop where there's a bunch of healthy kids,
right?
It can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so we teach them, we never discuss sales with our staff ever. There's kind of a surfboard who sells surfboards thing, but we never discuss what they rung up or sold in a day, because we don't want to be about that. O'Neill paid a small commission to everybody. We immediately took that away, because we want our staff, when somebody walks in the door, give them a minute to let them breathe, look around, and then just introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And don't overwhelm them. Don't be like, hey,
Right.
Ease them in and make a friend. Where are they from? Do they know the Killer Dana story? If they have a dog, get the dog a biscuit. If they have kids, we have these little plastic surfer army, like make them feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
And the culture of that, I think, comes from my wife and I's own insecurities.
Yeah.
So we recognize it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're about. We had a girl a couple of years ago. We had a meeting, and she goes, "Oh man, we made 10 grand today. I sold $6,000 worth of stuff." And I said, "Awesome. Yes, it was a good day. Let me share something with you." So of that 10 grand we didn't make, there's payroll percent,
right.
And we teach them. And you were so busy, you were at the register all day, like a drive-thru,
right.
And that's what we want to avoid.
Right.
We don't want to get to that point ever where it's just about selling people or upselling people or how much you can ring up.
Right.
That's not who Killer Dana is.
Right. Yeah. So how are you going to, in the next 5, this is such a shithead question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How do you see the brand evolving over time?
We don't have any aspirations. Like we have people say, "Oh, are you going to have more locations?" and this and that. I've not really been asked this question, so I'm kind of processing, but we would like to stay as we are.
Yeah.
But also make money.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a pretty noble goal.
There's times where all the emotional stuff and all the hype, right, can put wind in your sails.
Yeah. But
at the end of the day, you still have to make money.
Yeah.
Right. And you still have to be able to reward yourself and go on vacation and
pay yourself, right?
Yeah, and pay yourself. And so I think at this time, our whole thing is to, we moved into the Rite Aid building. We kept thrifty ice cream and I put a pinball machine there.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So that kids have a safe place. So we want to remain who we are. We want to get better at doing it. And we'd like to get to where we're making some money, because the hype and the relationships and the helping the kids and, when things drop, there's still a whole business behind it. And I don't know that a lot of people see that. They see the store and they think, exactly, we're killing it.
Right.
They go, oh my gosh, and we've heard people go, oh, but you have a rich partner, right? But partnerships don't work that way. Right. We're not partners in his other businesses. No. And so we've worked really hard to keep, to make Killer Dana stand alone. We took out a big loan for the remodel and the move into Rite Aid with COVID and everything and economy, compounding it. In a way, this is kind of our Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Because if, you just look, retail stores and
I know.
And we're sitting here going, and our partner, he laughs and some of his friends are like, what are you doing, right, on an investment level? But it's because we believe in it.
Yeah.
And we really do think we really do think, and again, the community support the last few years has been overwhelming. But we really do think if we get through these economic times, COVID's becoming more and more behind us, that we could be in a place where we get to make a decent lifestyle income and enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
But we don't have any aspirations of Killer Dana being bigger or multiple locations.
Yeah, because that would take away from the story. Right.
Yes.
It wouldn't be true to the what you stand for part of Killer Dana. So when you look back at this, and your honesty is so refreshing, and I think it will help a lot of entrepreneurs out there, right? Like just the authenticity with which you
Thank you.
speak. But looking back on it now, like what are the mistakes that you made?
A lot.
Pick one. Pick two.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that we kind of made in the beginning was not trusting ourselves enough.
Mm-hmm. So like that self-confidence.
That self-confidence, yeah. And then daily there's been mistakes on running the business.
Yeah.
Having employees that don't fit in and that create trauma and spending way too much time and energy.
Hiring is like one of the things that no one can prepare you for, right?
Yeah. And so we've kind of learned that, over payroll, being insecure to send people home when it's slow because they, you want to take care of them.
Yeah.
But we've been guilty of that.
It's a business,
Yeah. And so we've gotten better at that. But that's certainly one of the mistakes that we've made is putting other things before Killer Dana's financial.
Yeah.
And then, you start to see it and you're like, man, we really and we don't own our building, so we've had some very, very low financial times.
Yeah.
January, February, March. In April, every Thursday we get a cash flow report, April of this year was the first time that I got that report, and I opened it and I looked at it and I went, oh, holy shit, this is real. This is real.
Yeah.
And we just took out the loan for the remodel. We did that loan through our partner.
Right.
So, but we still have to pay it back. And so it's just, there's been a lot of challenges, but I think we've made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
My wife knows retail really well, but she had never run a business. She'd never even paid bills before.
Yeah.
And I'm not a computer guy. And so we've made a lot of mistakes on the way. And I think one of the great things about Steve, our partner, is he recognizes that and we talk through them.
Yeah.
And he's as dedicated as we are, but he allows us to be us. Again, it's a partnership,
right?
So I couldn't list all the mistakes that we've made because we have made a lot, bringing in a brand because of a relationship and then holding on to it for too long when it's not moving. There's a lot of those moving parts that you don't think about.
Exactly.
Who are you buying surfboards? We tend to like to do business with people we like. That's a big part of it. We like to create partnerships. But we also there's been times where we've brought in brands and bought too much, thinking, we're helping that person and we're supporting this person and his family, and he's got kids. But at the end of the day, it can hurt the store.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of those types of mistakes that we've made.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to make.
Absolutely.
And
that's part of the growth phase.
Yeah.
What about like kind of switching gears real quick, Mike? Like, okay, the mistakes part, everybody fails, but what has been the most surprising, wild joy that you have found with this business?
All the hype.
Like the legend that it is.
Yeah, all the hype and the support. I said earlier, hype doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
It doesn't make people shop. It doesn't help economy.
No, exactly.
Right? But 100% the community support and I think the hype behind that is what it keeps us going.
Yeah.
We just had a big conversation about that 6-8 weeks ago, my wife and I. And then it's kind of crazy because the last 5 weeks we've been as busy as we've ever been.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So it is absolutely the relationships and this community support.
Yeah.
People asking to come and attend an event or be there and that they want us there and they want Killer Dana there.
Yeah.
Like,
it's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's validating. So,
good word.
Yeah. No,
very validating.
It is validating. And I think that, once you start believing, right, how important you are as a business person and entrepreneur, right, in your community, you're going to get past that anxiety, right? Like anxiety creates a sense of, failure, like, you focus on the failure instead of like the other side of the failure.
Absolutely.
It's a total psychological thing. But like for the entrepreneurs out there who are listening to us, right, and your story is so beautiful and poignant, and it's got all the drama of a great, story arc. But what
interesting to hear you say that, but thank you.
It's wonderful and it's photogenic and, there's a shark scene, right? Like, but what is your advice, right? Like, what is your advice to entrepreneurs, not just in the surf, not just in these kinds of things, but, is there one big giant piece of wisdom that you have that you can give to startups and aspiring entrepreneurs?
Be transparent and listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Listen to your gut and so many people fight that.
Yeah.
If something in here is telling you it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
And so I think that's two of the things. Be transparent. I think that's lost in our world today.
Yeah.
With social media and all of that. And then listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Because the universe is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of religion or whatever, you think, the universe is a powerful thing. And I think it tells us things and we just need to be opening to listen.
Yeah.
And I think we need to, and my wife and I too, we need to be more open to what the universe puts in front of us.
Right.
Because sometimes we don't recognize it because we are so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think listening to your gut in any form of business or entrepreneurship is extremely important.
I think so too. And in life in general,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Like, listen to your gut. So like as we kind of wrap this up, would you call yourself an enthusiast business, right? Like you serve enthusiasts, like surfing enthusiasts, beach enthusiasts. It's kind of a niche, but it's like becoming less of a niche, right? Like I'm just trying to figure out how, like, you're in it, so it probably doesn't feel niche-y to you. But I'm just wondering, like, on the marketing and branding, right? Community is big with what you do, but what is the other way that you get the word out about the brand and the company?
That's something that we've been working on our social media.
Yeah.
We have our manager, Paris. She's doing our social media as well. And we have a local surf legend family, the Benueloses. They rebuilt our website for us at no charge.
By the way, it is a cool website because you've got the video on there that tells the whole story of Dana Point and the harbor and the changing of the the big break that was, Dana Point was
Right.
Killer Dana, actually. So I think
What was the question again?
what your marketing and branding strategy is.
Our marketing and branding strategy is we need to get ourselves out there more.
I think
There's
so
no
too.
question. Our online sales are pitiful.
Yeah.
And the ironic thing is we'll have people, hey, I'm in Canada. Look, this guy's wearing a Killer Dana shirt. I got a text yesterday,
Right,
or
right.
two people where it's all over,
Yeah.
And we get those texts and pictures from friends a lot. They're
Yeah.
somewhere and they see somebody in a Killer Dana shirt, but that's not reflecting on our online sales.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we're trying to work on.
That seems like it would be a really good, fairly simple next step, and not just like online sales, like waiting for people to come and buy from you, but going out there and becoming a part of this global
Awareness.
conversation, right? Around surfing and the enthusiasm people feel for the sport and the nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
And you're already there. You just have to execute,
Yeah. And when it comes to our social media and our online presence, we're a mom and pop shop, right? We are hands on everything.
Yep.
And we have some great staff. We have an office manager, accountant that has our back. She can be a pain in the butt, but she has our back. But we're kind of cavitating. We're a mom and pop shop, but we're bigger than that.
Yeah.
But to make those next steps with our website and having somebody almost full time,
Yeah.
because a website is a separate inventory.
It is.
It needs to be populated.
And it's a different story. Yeah.
And if you aren't good at that, and if you don't, let's say we have 5 of the XL shirt, right? And they sell in the shop over the weekend, and then somebody orders one on the website over the weekend. Monday we come in and we don't have that shirt. We're letting down a customer that's not in front of us.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If you let down a customer that's in front of you, you can work with them,
Right.
make them to
Right.
appease them,
Right. Give them a solution.
Give them a solution. Where if you let somebody down online, so we're kind of cavitating. We can't afford that next person
Right.
to take all that stuff off of our plate
Right.
and grow it.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get through this year and next year, and then maybe that
Yeah.
can happen for us.
Yeah.
But financially, that would be our next step. Our next step isn't for us to have a better lifestyle. We have a roof
It's
over our
to
head.
increase your market.
Yeah, it's to increase our awareness of the brand. And online sales and the story, and hopefully people come. We have people come in, and they'll say, "Oh, I told my friends we were going to Laguna or wherever," and they say, "Oh, you got to stop by Killer Dana."
That's so great.
It's nothing more rewarding.
Yeah.
So we're kind of cavitating for that next step that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel really lucky that we got to sit down. Your story is really something special, and so are you. And I know you are a valued and embraced part of this community. And it's just doesn't happen that often that we get to sit down with somebody whose whole heart is in the business.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't, we don't see it that way. But I
but it's
I
outsider looking in.
And you gave me butterflies. So
Thank you so much.
That means
Mike.
a lot.
Yeah.